Hello there. Welcome to Midland Earth. So, earlier on in the day, myself and Matt here, we both went and saw the new Captain America film. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to do our spoiler-free review to begin with, and then in probably about a week's time-ish, we'll release a review. It'll be more of an extended review from this one, but it will include the spoilers, and we'll be discussing more and more about the actual plot line itself.
Give you time to watch it.
Yep. We don't want to be any of those people that ruin things on the first day. Some people do. So yeah, shall we get into it then?
What do you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually quite good. As we mentioned in the instant reaction earlier, you certainly said that you went in with lower expectations than you normally would, and you came out enjoying it more, didn't you?
Mainly because I've been burnt by a lot of films recently. What are the more recent ones? Marvel's a bit of a mess. Fall of Thunder was trying to be more funny than it was a decent Marvel film. What else have we had?
Blood and Thunder took it way too far. It really. Ragnarok was sort of pinnacle.
Quantum Mania was a bit more mania than it was actually anything interesting.
They've gone a bit too comical of late, haven't they?
Yeah, there hasn't been anything a bit more weighty since obviously more Endgame and stuff. So this hasn't got the weight of that, but it does take itself the reasonable amount of serious, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah. It certainly doesn't have the level of humour as those that you've just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you expect really in terms of a Captain America film. On the plot line that it's trying to take is more of a serious one.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it succeeds in that? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it does. Yeah, they've gone in. They've got this idea and they've ran with it. And it was enjoyable.
I like that the plot, the main focus of it was, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in the advertising about adamantium and stuff, and they make that the plot of the film basically, something setting up the future of Marvel is the main focus of this film, which I kind of do like when they do things like that, to be fair, because it solidifies it as something interesting moving forward. It's not just something that's in this film and then you won't hear about it again. Yeah. Obviously, as people know, adamantium is tied to quite a significant other Marvel character. So we know as the audience, well, some of us, like me, anyways, know that that metal is tied to Wolverine. So at some point that is going to come into play. So I like that the whole battle between who's going to get the adamantium is kind of an interesting part of this film. I did like that. And I really like the use of Harrison Ford in this film as well, because they have used big name stars before in Captain America films like Robert Redford, but I didn't feel like he was as central to that film. Even though they made him actually be this big central shield character, he didn't really have a lot to do in that film. I didn't feel, but no,
he sort of wrote his character in as being the. So in all the the trailers and the posters and things like that, obviously in the Winter Soldier film they built Bucky up as being that he's the big bad, he's the but it's actually Robert Redford's character in the background that is pulling all the strings. But I know what you mean. It was a bit anticlimactic finding out that he was actually the person behind SHIELD that was running the secret Hydra. And it just.
He never really posed a threat.
No, Bucky was always that threat. Yeah. Even though Robert Redford's character was pulling the strings, whereas in this one,
I'd say Harrison Ford's in a good half of the film, isn't he?
Yeah.
So the political side of it is a lot more central than obviously he's the president. Yeah. He features in it a lot more than.
Do you think that his character, Thunderbolt Ross, has been given more screen time in this film
because it's Harrison Ford?
Because it's Harrison Ford, whereas before it would have been William Hurt before he passed away. I know he was a big sort of antagonist in Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
As opposed to Abomination, it was more him because he was after obviously Bruce Banner and whatnot, and then he was in Civil War and he got minor role sort of thing. He was
I mean,
still a bit of an arsehole in that.
His actions, obviously, with the Segovia Accords and stuff, did have ramifications, but him himself didn't do a lot, really, yeah.
So do you think his screen time has been elevated because they've had to recast him as Harrison Ford?
Do you think possibly that was some of the reshoots, maybe adding more Harrison Ford? Because he was like, I'm not in this film a lot, guys. Can I be in it a bit more?
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah. Up a lot. Because there wasn't a lot of Red Hulk, was there? Like, it was mainly just him as himself. Try to
keep it spoiler free.
But yeah, you know what I mean?
No,
they marketed it on Red Hulk, but like they kept that. It was more Harrison Ford. So like, did you go in and be like, "Can I be in this film more? Because you've not got much of my character in it." And then that's maybe what the reshoots were. Do you reckon? So
you mean so that they were looking at getting him as Thunderbolt Ross before he makes the transformation. He didn't just want to be. I'm a guy in a mocap suit.
Yeah,
for that. Maybe I want to be more central.
So they would have written it. Well, I assume they would have written it with. Obviously, it might not have been Harrison Ford, but then he got the part, and he was like, "I'm not in this a lot. Can I have more?
Can I have more scenes? You flush my character out, give me a bit more development type thing."
Because it was him that had it, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. It works though in terms of obviously it's a recast because the previous actors passed away, but Harrison Ford works really well in it.
I really think he does. I mean, I hope he's in it. The MCU more, I hope, because he's quite a good addition. I feel personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but
I can't imagine to be used in as big a role in future film and TV as he has been in this. He might move more to be more of a cameo type thing going forward, but it certainly works well.
Who do you think comes out best in this film? Do you think, like character-wise, who did the best job? I mean, do you think
Anthony Mackie certainly comes out on top?
Do you think he carried the film like as much as he needed to, or not carry? But I mean, like, do you think he like led the film because it's his film, obviously, or do you think it was kind of like half and half?
I think obviously he's been Falcon through Winter Soldier, Civil War, and the last two Avengers films, and then he got his own TV series with Bucky in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And at the end of that, he puts on the Captain America mantle. But I think this particular film now has allowed him to fully step into that role and go, "This is what my Captain America is going to be." Okay, we might be going too much into to spoil things and type. So you can see the differences between Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson in terms of Captain America, but he still has that sort of authority that Steve Rogers would have had.
I like that he's still kind of like the mantle kind of carries over with it, like a built-in rebelliousness. You know what I mean? Like he won't just toe the line, will he?
No.
Like Cap doesn't toe the line; he does what he thinks is right, kind of thing. And I like that both Caps have kind of got that.
But at the same time, they're still instilling sort of inspiration and hope into the other characters around them and the world. So he's certainly come out on top as it's his film. He stepped into Chris Evans' shoes and he has ran with it and he's done rather well.
I think
he is helped with, obviously, I say Harrison Ford's really good as Thunderbolt Ross.
What did you think of the villainous characters?
His name eludes me. The lad that plays the new Falcon. Joaquin Torres. The character name. I can't remember the actor's name at the moment. But he plays a really good role. And it's not just that he's then following on from what Sam did for Steve. They've given him different sort of roles and different things to his Falcon to what Sam's Falcon was. So they're also developing his character as well, which I kind of liked. As for the villains, obviously at this point, because it is the spoiler-free version, we'll go just based on what you do see in the trailers. So you've obviously got Red Hulk is one of the villains towards the end, because you see them fighting in the trailers and whatnot. Serves a purpose, does it quite well. I actually quite like Giancarlo Esposito as an actor in general, so I thought his role was kind of interesting. I didn't really know much about his character going into it.
I think he was one that was added in later as well, wasn't he? To be fair, and you can't really tell that. I think it seems quite seamless. It's not like he just plonked in just because it's Giancarlo Esposito. But no, he was quite a good threat, really. I thought. To be
Yeah.
fair. All the villains had, like, there was no like villain of the scene, was there? You know, like Crossbones, where it was like, oh, he's in it and he dies. But like, it was.
Yeah.
They were all reasonably threatening in different ways, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked him.
Mm.
And I think Isaiah Bradley was used quite well as well in it. To be fair, I like that. Like, obviously in the trailers you see that he's brought into all the conspiracy and stuff, and I like what the role that he plays to Sam as well. It's quite good. And it's kind of, I suppose he's kind of like the heart of the film as well. You know, like because
Sort of, yeah.
because he's quite a sympathetic character. Because obviously he was like imprisoned for years and things, and it brings up like quite
Kind of
interesting social and political kind of issues and things.
Yeah, his character does, and I think that because of that as well, it grounds Sam as well, because he knows he's got this person now that he looks up to, even though Isaiah, as you say, he was treated horribly in the past and things like that. Sam still looks up to him, so everything that he does, as well as having that thing in his back of his mind of what would Steve do, he's also thinking, what I'm doing is not only have I got to do it to the Captain America level, but he's thinking, I've got to do it because he's looking up to Isaiah as well. I think that kind of maybe plays on him a little bit.
Do you think he kind of not uses him in an horrible way, but like has him as like a replacement for Steve because he's not there? So a bit where he's like a figure that's still in his life, kind of can be in his life, whereas Steve's kind of gone.
Might be like an alternative role model type thing to Steve. Is like, maybe, could be.
But, yeah, I did enjoy that. The action scenes were cool as well, and there wasn't too many of them. It was quite evenly dispersed. It wasn't
paced out rather well, wasn't it?
It wasn't like loads of action and then
not much plot line.
Yeah,
no, it was spread out rather nicely. You'd have a nice little chunk of action, and then they'd move on, and they'd develop the plot a bit more, and then boom, a bit more of action, and then
yeah, I think they've filled out all the characters like really well. I thought, and developed them nicely enough that you cared about kind of everyone, and they had a bit of jeopardy in there, which was quite good. Like people were risking things. There wasn't any like plot armor or anything. Like, oh, that person's got to survive. It was kind of people. Yeah. People were quite fallible, weren't they, as well? They like got injured, and like it wasn't like you kind of saw the vulnerabilities in Sam as well, didn't you? As well, like physically and like.
And that kind of, I suppose, that makes him more relatable now.
Yeah.
Than what Steve Rogers was, because he was, even though he'd get injured, Steve would recover from it much quicker.
Yeah.
Whereas now,
I don't think there's more threat to Sam than there was to Steve. I think.
Yeah.
Because Steve always seemed like a superhero, whereas Sam was more like a soldier, if you know what I mean. Whereas
in this, Sam's now stepped up to be more superhero than soldier. Do you reckon?
I don't know, because like he doesn't rely on gadgets and things, but he uses them and like the tech he's got in interesting ways. And obviously, you can kind of see that if he didn't have these things, he would definitely die. Like, because obviously he can fly and things, but like obviously when you saw in I think it was, what was it called, Falcon and Winter Soldier, he got like his cap suit from Wakanda, didn't he? So like, a lot of that tech, like he uses a lot in this film to basically survive.
I suppose.
Like I don't think he would. I mean, he would. I'm sure he would find a way, but like it's quite evident that that suit keeps him alive a lot of the time. To be fair. But then that makes sense because obviously he hasn't got the super soldier serum and stuff, so you can kind of justify it. But
overall, happy with it?
Like a score, 3.
I'd probably say
3.5.
Yeah, 3.75 maybe.
Okay, go into decimals as well.
Yeah. I say it was enjoyable. Nice amount of action. CGI was better than what's been in previous films as well. I think they've possibly learnt a bit more. I didn't sit there. I wasn't cringing over the CGI as I have been in previous Marvel films.
Yeah, there was one bit that I did pick out that looked a bit funky, but then that was the only bit. Only one little bit. The rest of it was really good. Red Hulk looked good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So 3.75 from me.
3.5.
3.5 from Matt. Don't forget, like, share and subscribe.